okay, we're going to create an index page. Now at the moment this is called index.html, and this is what we're going to have it look like in the end. I've got quite a few different divisions in here, sections. You'll notice the top one is called the head, and it contains a table called the head table. We can see that little border around there. We'll talk about that. Down below we have something called the sidebar, where we're going to have some links. We have our main text right in here, which I just have a temporary placeholder text. It's sort of a Latinish quote from Cicero that people often use just as a placeholder. And over on the right side, it just says right side. We don't have anything going on there at the moment. Now those three are all going to be contained inside a division called index, which will otherwise be invisible. So I'm just letting you know about that now. So let's get started. So we create our little HTML file, and we have a body class equals default. At that point we begin with our first division, and I put ID equals the head. So we have a division called the head. And inside of that I have a table which has an ID called head table, and table goes to slash table, and inside of that we have a row, and inside of that we have a TD, a table data, and inside of that table data we have image source equals media images logos, in this case Yunkerland.gif, with the alternate text being welcome to Yunkerland. That's going to be inside that table data, the first one on the left. The second one is going to be just an H1 that says welcome to Yunkerland. So that's all that table does. Now the next thing I have is my division ID equals index, the one I said would be invisible except for the fact that we now know it exists. And the first thing I have is an ID equals sidebar, a division there, which you'll notice contains absolutely nothing at the moment. That'll change over the course of the semester. The second one has an ID of main, and in there I put a paragraph, and that's where I put that Latin paragraph. I just grabbed that off the internet. If you Google lorem ipsum dolor, you'll find it. And then lastly I have the right side, which just contains that H1 of a right side. Now I'm going to take these items. Notice one is a class and the rest are all IDs, and I'm going to do something to them. So that's where we're going to create our style sheet, up here between title and head. So the first thing I'm going to do is the default, which remember that was a class, which is why it begins with a period. And I just have a background color that's some sort of a yellowish color, a font family, and a font size. That's all I have for there right now. I can always change that. I also put in a warning, which I'm not using, but you notice that's a class, a dot warning. Color equals $FF0000. You should know what that means, because the first two relate to the color red, the second two green, and the third set of two is the color blue. And so the first set, red, is FF. That's fully turned on. It's as high as it can be. So this is fully the color red and nothing else. Now I have a head table. I mentioned that. This has a border 4px, 4 pixels, solid red. Padding is 5 and 15. You know, the padding has north, east, south, and west. So this means the north and south are both 5 pixels and 15 for the east-west. And you should have covered that in a prior course with 100%, so it's going to take up the full size. The head table TD, so that's just the table data, also has a border of 1 pixel solid black. I mentioned that index division, which contains nothing but other divisions. It specifically has a height of 1,000 pixels, and I changed the background color here, AACCAA, whatever color that is. Sidebar has a height of 50%. That 50% is the height, 50% of that height here, the index. And the width, 15%. It's floating to the left. Okay, it's got some padding in here as well. The main floats to the left. You notice I didn't put in a height, I just chose not to, but it has a width of 45. And the right side has a width of 25. It floats to the right and has a height of 50% as well. I just put those in for no apparent reason other than so you can practice and learn how to use them, change them around a little bit, see what happens. You'll notice that these three do not add up to 100%. It's only 85%. So that other 15% is in there somewhere. Where is it? Well, since sidebar it floats left and main floats left and right side floats to the right, it's going to be somewhere between main and right side is where that extra 15% would be. The way you could see it is, of course, to put in a background color in main and right side, and then you'll see, because where it's missing would be this background color. So as long as you change that, play around with this, do what you want with it, and in the end, when it's all saved, this is what it's going to look like.